Our next presentation is Michael Malone. Some of you may have heard of him. He has a company called KOTA Longboards. I met Mike and his wife Nikki at one of the conferences where we were pushing the Rosie Network, and they were there, and they were just very innovative. I love their spirit. I love their entrepreneurship and what they're doing in their community for veterans, within the community for veterans. And I sent you guys all a flyer based on, they're going to have a fundraiser tonight. It's called A Board for a Reason. He'll tell you a little bit more about that. But thank you, Mike. And you're up next. And I really appreciate you guys coming. Thanks, Nikki.
I'll put that right there, because that's what we make. Well, hey, thanks for having me. By the way, the event tonight is a fundraiser for Citizen Soldier Connection. They care for needy military families around Fort Carson. And so please come. It'll be a really nice event at the Garden of the Gods Club. What time does it start? 5:30. So you're all invited. Please feel free to come. It's a great cause. So where do I start? I flew F-14s, the United States Navy. Got out of off active duty in 1994. Did a stint in naval intelligence in the reserves. I will not bore you with my career, but I think that the one characteristic of my career that is important here is that I have excelled at everything I have ever done. But right before I am about to ring the bell, someone reaches up and takes it all away from me. And so the last time that happened, I was the CEO of a clean energy company that we spun out of CH2M Hill. And it was hard. It was a very heady early stage startup, and we were working with full-scale utilities. And right when we hit an absolute grand slam in the marketplace in 2011, I walk in the boardroom and the venture capitalist says, "Hey, thanks for teeing us up. We got a new CEO. See you later." And so, I went from thinking I'm 10 years from retirement to all of a sudden on the street, all my wealth was caught up in equity in that company, lost everything. And so I thought, I'm in all these networking groups, the ranks of which are swelling to some 300 people. And one by one, I'm watching these folks slip into foreclosure, divorce, personal bankruptcy. So I went to my wife, who's one of the gutsiest people I will ever meet. And, I said, look, two things are happening here. The first thing is that we're all stuck in this paradigm that we're going to get back the job we just left. Well, look at this group. Those jobs don't exist anymore. And when they come back, they're going to come back at about a third of the comp level. I could be close to 60. Nobody's going to hire me, having sat on the sidelines for 10 years. But the second thing that's happening is every dollar that leaves their checking account, they're becoming more and more risk averse. I said, as hard as this is going to be for us, every dollar that leaves our checking account, we need to become more risk tolerant, because we damn well better take risk while we can afford to. And so I said, honey, I'm going to start a company. She said, what? Upstream natural gas, modular nuclear reactors, longboard skateboards. Who knew? I'll tell you a little bit about the company, and then I want to talk mostly about where we are in the economic cycle and how you can succeed as entrepreneurs. KOTA stands for Knights of the Air. For those of you that were involved in military aviation, you know that that stands for a moniker that was given to the earliest fighter pilots in World War I, because they lived by a code of honor, integrity, courage, and esprit de corps, even amongst adversaries, that define not only their conduct on the ground, but how they engaged in combat in the air. And that still was the defining culture of fighter aviation that I resonated with in my experience in the United States Navy. After my experience with my venture capitalists, I thought, you know what? It's time to return the concepts of honor, integrity, courage, and esprit de corps to being hip and mainstream and cool, and part of our business culture in this country. It has been lacking for far too long. That is what is resonating, that's what the market is resonating with about our brand. People want to be associated with those qualities. It's very exciting to see. I say that we're no longer a longboard skateboard company, we're an action sports brand. We're launching an apparel line. We're looking at logo product and accessories. We're doing a sling bag with tactical tailor. And we are branching well beyond the longboard skateboard into the active lifestyle action sports market, which is where we should be with the brand that has a cachet like the one we've built. We've only been in our factory for 2 years, and I started the company about 8 months earlier in my driveway. So this is truly your Mark 1A, heady entrepreneurial startup. We grew at 240% revenue growth last year. We're not cash flowing yet, but if we continue on that path, which we are, we'll be cash flowing by the end of third quarter, which is unheard of for a retail product company in an economy like this. We're moving at light speed into the marketplace. But I'm non-compensated, so you're just looking at it going, well, we made a bet. And if we can break through this year, then that bet will be solid. But it is, I tell people, and then we'll start talking about the economy. I tell people, this is day-to-day, hand-to-hand combat between my intellect and my instinct. Because all my intellect does between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., just like last night, and I guarantee you just like tonight, is calculate down to the second when we run out of money and go bankrupt. And then I walk in our showroom, and I look around and I say, we have built all of this in barely 2 years. Now, what would make me think that tomorrow we would derail this company or we would unwind it in any way? I don't know where our next sale is going to come from. I don't know where the revenue is going to come from. I know it will. And that is the entrepreneurial gut check, the faith that you have to go down this path. Yesterday we were interviewed by Fox News. They're going to do a segment on us on Memorial Day on Fox News National. Thank you. Next week we're being featured in Men's Journal's hard copy gift guide for Father's Day. So, the last day or two seems like it's been about a week. So, I'm glad to be here. I'm a little tired. Wait until 5:30 tonight. So I want to talk a lot about risk, and I want to talk about the economy. Look, one man's opinion, but I can tell you right now, there is nothing new going on here. We are not some entitlement society. I wish people would stop talking about it because it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're not some radically changed ethnic makeup in this country. We have always been a melting pot. This is the economic cycle. I lived through this in the 70s and the 80s. It's a different political tension, or maybe not. It's a different societal tension, or maybe not. But it's the economic cycle. In my amateurish psychological assessment, we go through 3 phases of psychology. When the bubble bursts, by the way, the bubble is created because there is a tremendous amount of transactional volume, but no value is being created by any of that transfer of money. That is exactly what happened this time, and it got big, way bigger than it should have, and it collapsed. When that collapse happens, people get nervous, they get fearful, they ratchet into risk aversion. They just laid off another 1,000 people. Am I next? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to pay for my kids' education? Everybody becomes fearful. We wallow in that for, this time, an excessively long period of time, probably exacerbated because of the hit we took on September 11th. Big psychological blow that we're still trying to get over. But the economic cycle is the economic cycle. The next phase of psychology, which I did not understand in the 70s, and I sure as hell didn't understand at this time, is we all look to Washington. And we say, hey, my life stinks. You got to do something to make my life better. Either get my job back, give me a handout, spur economic growth. Well, we did that for an excessively long period of time, too, this time. The third phase of psychology is when we all realize that even if any of those well-intentioned men and women in Washington had any clue how to make our lives better, which they don't, none of them have an incentive to make our lives better. So this is where we remember that we're Americans. We don't wallow in self-pity and fear. We generally go and kick ass wherever we go. And so we now try and ratchet out of, lurch, if you will, out of risk aversion into risk tolerance. It is not a pretty sight. You go 5 steps forward, 6 steps back, 4 steps forward, 2 steps back. It is not a nice, smooth curve to get there. But people are saying, look, my life still stinks, and if you're not going to make my life better, then I'm going to make my life better. Just leave me alone to do it. And that is where we are today. And so if you understand where we are in the economic cycle, the beautiful thing, by the way, risk aversion is a cancer on a free market economy. Our government has given us one reason after another for the last 10 or 15 years to remain in risk aversion, and it's ending, thankfully. It's healthy for our society, it's healthy for our economy. But one thing that's really nice about a free market economy is it will brutally, unmercifully body slam you back into a normalized risk-return adjusted, value-oriented economy. Everything that's going on right now is about value. That is not a trivial purchase decision at the price point that we sell it. But people buy it because they see the exceptional value out of what they're buying, the value out of the beauty of the product, the performance of the product, the meaning of the brand, and how that enhances their life. We have a saying in our company that we harp on every day. If you're here to chase money, you're never going to last. We're here to do one thing. That is to build a company, a brand, and a product of value. Because money chases value, value never chases money. Okay, so if you're going to start an entrepreneurial business, it's all about value. Craft brewing, let's talk about craft brewing for a minute. People have less disposable income, yet the craft brew market is exploding. You spend as much on one beer at a craft brewery, I could buy a 6-pack of Coors for that. Why am I doing it? Because not only can I go there, see where and how my beer is being manufactured, it's, at least in the perception, a better product. But here's where the real value is. I have a community of like-minded people that I share that experience with. That is where the value in that industry comes. I'm also going to talk about that from the aspect of manufacturing. I think that our economists and our politicians and government, they're all very, very slow to recognize a tremendous resurgence of manufacturing in this country. You think about IT. While there will be some very, very important apps that will be created in the next 10 years, the incremental value of another app hitting the marketplace is declining exponentially. That will not be what drives economic growth in this country, in my opinion. When you look at manufacturing, craft brewing, what is that? They're not importing their beer. That's manufacturing. They are hiring people to brew beer on site. Look at what we're doing. You look at Icelandic, the ski company, Meyer Skis, Gray Skis, Gorilla Gravity, bike company up in Denver. Everything is being manufactured here. They may get components from overseas, but it's all being assembled and manufactured here. We're able to leverage new technologies and lean manufacturing processes to control costs. You can manufacture in the United States. This is what I think is going to be the precursor of economic momentum, if you will, for the new economy that's going to emerge. By the way, it will take 4 or 5 years for this economy to get off its, knees, if you will. But if you remember from, say, 1985 to 2000, that was a 15-year period of true economic growth in this country. That was not fake growth. That was value-oriented growth. We are poised to go into that kind of a cycle again. And it'll be big. It has nothing to do with what anybody is doing in Washington. So it has everything to do with what you are doing in your lives. So when we talk about risk, you talk about risk, it is a tough road to go down when you say, I'm going to leverage everything into this entrepreneurial venture. For us, we have no B plan. I'll be living in a trailer home if this company fails. But it won't, because we're all in every day. And we're moving this thing at light speed. And you look at the risk that we were taking, and I say, well, you know what we never count is, what was the risk if I did nothing? Where would I be? I'd probably join all my colleagues, hopefully not divorced, but, personal bankruptcy, foreclosure. What is the risk of inaction? I knew exactly where I would be if I did nothing 3 years later. I have no idea where we're going to be, having gone down the path we're going down, but it looks promising. So when you think about it that way, It's a mental game that you have to play with yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to turn the question around. Instead of why would I do that, why wouldn't I do it? That's why I started a longboard skateboard company. I live in near DU, and I would see all these large co-eds getting on these longboards. First thing I noticed was they stepped on them and they sagged and almost hit the ground. And somewhere in my past, I have an engineering degree, and figured I better use it after 30 years. But I thought, that really bugs me. Why is nobody putting camber in those boards? I just don't get that. It bothers me. This was 8 or 9 years ago. My mental note, you ever decide to make a longboard, put camber in it? Who knew? We now have cambered longboards. But the next thing I said was, I'm an avid skier. I ride road bikes. I do all sorts of adventure stuff. I could probably do that. It looks kind of fun. And then I immediately said what everybody else says. If I got on that thing, I'd kill myself. Then I thought, well, why do I say that? We do all sorts of risky things at my age. I've laid down my road bike. I put a coat and tie on over severe road rash before. We ride mountain bikes. We break collarbones. We ski. We tear ACLs. What is it about that product that, we do all sorts of risky things. So what is it about that product that makes me think that I would hurt myself if I got on it? So I flipped it around. I said, well, why wouldn't I get on it? And I thought, well, there are 2 reasons. Number one, I've totally outgrown the skateboard culture. There's nothing that appeals to me there, nothing aesthetically that appeals to me. And I get it. I don't have a brake. And so I don't want to hurt myself. I want to be in control of that board, not have it be in control of me. I said, but you know what? When I think about it, I can fix both of those problems. I can fix the cultural issue with our brand and our styling. By the way, we invented or developed a clear gloss grip finish on those boards, so you don't need to put any grip tape on them. You get to preserve all of the artwork on the top of the board. Funny story, company I got thrown out of was a chemical company, and I had pulled my CTO out of a German lacquer and finish company called Wacker. And he and I remained very, very close friends. I called him up and I said, hey, could you develop a clear, non-porous urethane that would be grippy to crepe and rubber soled shoes and skin? He laughs. He said, oh, that's like a mistake we make in the lab. What do you want that for? I said, well, longboard script works. It's like, all right, I'm on it. And so this is what is part of what builds the cachet of the value and performance and styling of our product. But where was I? Can't remember where I was going with that. But riding. So thank you. Thank you. So I knew that, look, I can fix the styling and cultural issue with our product. But the camber is what is the mechanism for us to be in control of that board. Believe it or not, our demographic that we sell to is age 30 to over 60. Yeah, we don't sell to the 18-year-old kid. We don't sell out of skate shops. We actually have a growing, what my job is to do is to convince someone between the age of 30 and 65 to say, yeah, instead of saying, why would I do that, to say, why wouldn't I do it? I see content of people just like me out there having fun, doing this safely and comfortably on that product, not on anyone else's. Why wouldn't I join that club? We just won a Chase Mission Main Street grant last fall. One of 20 companies nationwide out of over 25,000 applicants. In fact, you may have seen there's a nationally televised commercial on TV now that features us. Part of that, Google was a sponsor of that. Part of that grant was that they sent us out, Nikki and I, out to Google headquarters for a deep dive seminar into social media and digital marketing. Fascinating company. Wow. It's just don't stop talking. We're hanging on every word. With the launch of our action sports apparel brand, or our product line, we've been saying, look, we're no longer a longboard skateboard company, we're an action sports brand. Well, that's a nice, convenient business school way to say that. The Google consultant said, geez, I looked at all your video, I looked at your content. He said, you're building a world that we all want to be a part of. I'm like, wow, okay, that drove it home for me in layman's terms. So we changed our marketing campaign this year to join our world, KOTA Longboards. And it's working. So Before I open it up, hopefully we have time for some questions. Do we?
Yes, we do actually.
Okay, good. Well, before I do that, I want to tell you a couple other things we talk about all the time in our company. Service. This is something that you will all understand. I said this on the interview yesterday with Fox News, and I sure hope they air that. Service means that at some point in your life, you have made the conscious decision to put someone else's best interests ahead of your own. It's as simple as that. Think about the impact of that statement. I have made a conscious decision to put someone else's best interests ahead of my own. Boy, does our country need to hear that today, right? That is the most noble calling. And when you have crossed that Rubicon, it is a life-changing event. That is why veterans make such good entrepreneurs, because you have got to keep your eye on the long ball. It's not about you. It is about the value you bring to the marketplace. That is what people will resonate with. That's what will get people to buy your product or your service. We say the new economy that is emerging is one of collaboration. I tell my venture capitalist buddies, I sure hope you made a lot of money in the last 15 years, because there is no place for you in this new economy. People are tired of the exploitive people that have ruled our economy for the last decade. We say in our brand book, bearing the scars of exploitive people, we settle for nothing less than the win-win. That is what our new economy is being based on. You look at the craft brew industry, fascinating. I keep harping on those guys because you should really take time to look at that industry. They almost act like they are not in competition with one another. They are so collaborative. It's so encouraging to see, yet all of them are making money together. That's what we're all about too. We're not trying to take pie away from someone else. We're about building a bigger pie. And that's what we go to work doing every single day. That's called economic expansion. I don't know anything bad about economic expansion. Do you? No. But here's another thing. You'll understand this in spades. Momentum is far more important than numbers. You don't have to have big numbers in revenue, personnel, but what drives our company is momentum. What drives the aura of KOTA Longboards. We're not a big company. We have 8 employees. Our revenue numbers are modest, if you will. They're getting bigger rapidly, hopefully. But we had somebody come over to our factory the other day, and they said, boy, now that I've heard your story and I understand what a new company you are, he said, look, you guys have an image in the marketplace that you are turning millions of dollars hand over fist. I said, really? I never really thought about that before. He said, well, don't do anything to damage that image that you have in the marketplace. I'm like, that's really smart. But that's all because we have momentum. We are moving fast. We're using every ounce of our expertise and our knowledge, our experience to move very rapidly in the marketplace. It is something that people find empowering to watch how we do this, to be a part of it as a part of our brand. It gives people courage, and I'm very proud of that. I think I'm done. Any questions? Thank you.
I just have to say, it's not a question. You kind of reiterated on what I was talking about earlier. You have passion. You gave the benefits. You have all the information that someone would need to know about your product. And even though I'm out of the age realm to do something like that,
Sure.
but I think you did a great job. And like I said, I could see that in you, and you gave us everything we needed to know about you and why you do it.
Well, thank you. I was being interviewed. Thankfully, they never produced the whatever they were filming, but the interviewer said, geez, I really love your passion for longboarding. It's really inspiring. And I looked at her, I laughed. She said, why are you laughing? I said, well, I never thought I was passionate about longboarding. I said, I'm passionate about a lot of things. I'm passionate about downhill skiing. I'm passionate about my family. I'm passionate about, veteran causes and things, but, I don't make skis, and, it's an odd remark. But I said what I am passionate about is adding value to your life. And if I can do that by making products under KOTA Longboards or the KOTA brand, that is what I'm passionate about.
And that's what I see.
Yeah. So thank you. Mhm.
I'm 30 and I want to play with your toys.
Very good. Yeah, take 20 minutes. We can teach you how to ride. So, excellent.
And this, you're tonight where?
It's at the Garden of the Gods Club. So you go up I-25 to Garden of the Gods Road, or whatever it is, and you go out towards the foothills, and then, you know, it's just, there's a street up there.
Mesa, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that what it is? Mesa, and then,
Cross Street.
you know, I've actually driven by it. I've never been there, but at 5:30. So please come. Yeah.
So, Michael, I take offense at your comments about a 65 age plus. If you can ride that damn thing, I can.
I'm with you. Right there. All right. Yeah, we, during the Fox thing yesterday, they wanted to interview, we have one of our production team is an Army Scout, and they wanted to interview him as a veteran employee of the company, and we're all hanging out in the background and just trying to stay out of the way, and all of a sudden I hear him say, yeah, it's really fun to hear all the old-timer stories. I'm like, what? Come on. So yeah, we gave him a lot of crap about that. But yeah, I'll go riding with you any day.
Okay.
Very good. Anyone else? No? Go ahead.
So I was going to ask you this afterwards, but my daughter's been asking for a longboard for years, and you're right. I mean, what we bought her fell apart, and it's terrible. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I want one, and I seriously want one. For her, but now I know I can ride it too because it's safe. But do you have them? Like, do you have them with you today?
We only brought a few, and they're all demo boards, but you know, we can certainly get you one. That's for sure.
I'm coming up by DU on Tuesday. I can always come by your place.
Perfect. We actually have a factory. We're about 12 blocks north of Coors Field, 34th and Walnut Street. Walnut Street is Market Street, turns into Walnut. If you know where Epic Brewing is, we make all the longboards for Epic Brewing. But we're about 4 blocks north of Epic Brewing on the other side of the street. But we have a little showroom. You're welcome anytime. Please come and see us.
Being nice to Lodo. I remember when that was ghetto.
Yeah. We were at a...
I'm a native of Colorado.
Yeah.
I know you can touch me. I'm not a unicorn. And I remember when Coors Field wasn't there and Lodo was sketchy. You did not go down there. Thank you for
Yeah, we're in the River North Art District, and we had right when we moved into the factory, we had some Rhino Art District meeting, and I'm with all these other people, and they're like, oh, isn't Rhino great, and all this, blah, blah, and I was like, yeah, I remember when there were dead bodies in the dumpsters here. But they all turned white. They're like, you can't say that. Sorry, I remember it, yeah.
What's your artwork for your boards?
Well, I didn't do that one. That was the only one that I actually do all the artwork. I'm not a trained graphic artist. I get away with it. And I'm desperately trying to find graphic artists. We can't afford to pay them anything, is unfortunate. But really? Well, no, this is the first one where we worked with a rather well-known Maui artist, Alexa Caskey, and she designed these boards. This is the first of hopefully a line that she'll design for us. Beautiful boards. So we put Alexa, her name, on the top of that board. And then we had her coin Surf to Aina, which is surf the land in Hawaiian. So that's what that is in the little wave pattern on the front. But, oh, look at that. I got to take a closer look.
Since you believe in sharing and collaborating, I would like to know the name of the company that makes the non-skid clear.
Oh, that I can't tell you. We keep that as a very, very closely held trade secret. We found, when we actually did chemical formulations in my kitchen, and we figured out that we could do it. But then the natural thing was, before we go down the path of spending $20,000, $30,000 on lab work, let's see what's out there in the marketplace that's close that we can use as a base, and then we can modify it from there. We found a product that was made for a single company in a tiny, obscure industry unrelated to skateboards. The good news was that the manufacturer of that product was willing to work with us to tweak it for our needs. The other news is that we didn't tweak it enough to generate any new intellectual property. So I used to run all the intellectual property for CH2M Hill. So I know that trade secrets, if you formalize them as trade secrets, are they're actually stronger than patents in many ways. So we keep that as a very, very tightly held trade secret.
I could see that being, I mean, there's people out there that spray your cement on the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
So that I would love to see that,
Yeah.
expanded.
I've had people come and say, would you spray my surfboard, pistol grips, I said, sure, I mean, I can try it. I can't guarantee the success of it, but yeah, we can try it. Nobody's bitten yet. But yeah, it's what we developed with that, and again, we don't own the intellectual property other than the trade secret, but it's a remarkable material, because you think that it's got to not only be tough. You can see someone that I let ride that board dished it into a curb, and it hardly did anything at all to it. That is a really tough finish, but it has to be fluid and flexible, because our boards have a lot of flex to them. And it's just remarkable. Non-porous, so there's no dirt that'll stick to it. As long as your foot is in contact with it when it's wet, you'll stay on it. It's remarkable. That's why surfboards, I'm like, you're in water. You get a layer of water between you and anything else, you're going to slip off that. So I'm not sure how it would work in that setting. Sorry, can't be that collaborative. One last thing I want to mention, unless there are other questions, but and feel free as long as we have time. But giving back to the community is a big part of our brand. People ask me, why do you do it? And I said, because it's the right thing to do. Questions? But we're launching, in fact, we're doing a trial run on Monday with Wounded Warriors, but we are launching a PTS program around longboarding. The two unique aspects of our program are that it's a peer-to-peer program, warrior to warrior. It's not a psychologist to warrior or a non-service member to warrior. That builds a lot of trust, a lot of credibility, a lot of authenticity to the program. And then the way we've priced the program, at the end of that, it's planned to be a 6-week program. At the end of that program, each participant gets their own personalized longboard, so they get the tool of their therapy to take with them. We're calling that Carve It for Life. We need to stop 11 people have killed themselves already today. We need to stop that. Yeah, it's noon, so yeah, we got 11 to go. That's tragic. And we're going to do whatever we can to help. But Wounded Warrior Project is bringing 6 guys up to Monday to just do a 1-day trial of this, and we're working with them. Hopefully we'll expand that real quick to a national program. We'll talk more about that tonight if you come, though. So, anything else? There you go. Thank you.